Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Ranking the Albums. Today in the co-captain's chair, all the way from the UK. The UK's biggest Southern rock fan, Simon Bray. What's going on,
Mike? Not much. It's cold. Last week when we were doing Captain Space and Manowar, it was 30 degrees over here. Now it's reverted to type, and I'm freezing.
Well, what would you rather?
This is what's going to be
freezing or sweaty hot? What do you prefer?
Well, it's going to be freezing for the next 6 months at least.
Yeah.
So I'm used to cold for a while. So
okay. Well,
yeah.
I don't like really hot, humid, hot, sweaty hot. I don't mind heat to an extent, but here in New York, I don't know how different it is than you guys. But like in New York, it's always like humid and hot and sticky through most of the summer. And we're talking like 80, 90, 100% humidity, 85, 90 degree temps. That to me is like not really comfortable. I don't mind warm weather, low humidity, heat is okay with me, but man, that hot and sticky crap, no thanks. But
well, where I live, it rains. And then it rains, and then it rains a bit more.
That's what I've heard. We had a lot of rain this summer here too, but I've heard you guys get it constantly. So hot and rainy. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, very, very little hot.
Yeah.
Last week was completely normally.
So okay, all right, gotcha. So now normal chilliness. Okay, well that's not too bad, I guess. So now that we got the kind of weather forecast out of the way, I thought I only did that with Martin Popoff, but I guess you and I are starting a new trend here, so that's okay. Southern Rock Day. So we've got a couple of episodes for you that we're working on. So the first of which is the Charlie Daniels Band. So before some of you said Charlie Daniels, that guy who's got all those, had all these weird political opinions and did all the, the Grand Ole Opry stuff, blah, 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 blah. Well, yes, but Charlie Daniels and his band early on, specifically from like the very early 70s to the early 80s, was a serious band, Southern rock band, Southern boogie, blues, jazz, country rock, kind of throw it all together. Some absolutely amazing musicianship and great songs and a lot of really good albums. So this band has a ton of releases. So Simon and I decided, why don't we just like offer up our 5 favorites? My guess is we'll each be picking some similarities and some differences here. There's enough good ones in the catalog that I think this will be an interesting exercise. And so, yeah, that's what you're going to get. Each of us are going to give you our 5 favorites. I'll have Simon kick us off with his number 5.
Yeah, okay. I'm very confident I will go further past the 80s than you will, because I'm fairly confident you've told me that you're not a huge fan of country music.
Right.
That's a bit of an understatement. And he's a very, very interesting artist. I think he's not only known over here for one song. I think we all know what that one is. A novelty song over his. Although he's when he died, he did make the entertainment section of the BBC website. So that's interesting. But as a artist, I find him very interesting in the sense that he started out making all these kind of pretty liberal kind of songs, about how much he likes to smoke and drink and stuff, and by the end he completely reversed that.
Right.
But one thing you can say about him is that he was a man of convictions, and and that's not found nowhere better, I think, than on my number 5. Do you see what I did there? That was a link, wasn't it? That was outstanding work from me. My number 5, weirdly enough, is Simple Man. Yeah. I'm aware that some of it is objectionably not very good of that, but the actual conviction with which what he does is just astounding. Let's have a look at the title track, shall we? Where are the lyrics? The lyrics are so. Is it lyric? I think it is, isn't it? They are somewhere. For a start, it starts off with what this world needs is a few more rednecks, and I'm sure we can all agree that is very much the case. You know, it would be a dull world if we were all the same, wouldn't it?
That it would. Yes, that it would.
It would be boring. It really, really would. You know, I love those Rambo movies. I think they make a lot of sense. And it's a shame old John Wayne didn't live to run for president. See, rhyming sense with dent. I like it. And I don't care what nobody says. I don't trust old Gorbachev. And I don't know who turned him on, but it's time to turn him off. That is conviction. You know, I couldn't disagree more with the politics of Charlie Daniels, but I totally respect the conviction with which he does it, and the way in which on the title track he advocates tying people to the stump and letting the alligators and the critters and do the rest. Yeah, but with a really catchy tune, just really catchy tune. I think this was arguably his last actual proper hit of a song of an album. It's got lots of fiddle. It's got yet another version of Midnight Wind on it. It's just a nice record. Nice apart from the whole trying to kill people thing. Mr. DJ is quite affecting. You know, Was It 26 is quite an interesting treatise on getting older. You know, when this came out, I must have been in the late 20s, maybe. Don't know why my voice went so high, but I've always been interested in songs that discuss what it's like to get older. I think the album fades in the second half, and I cheerfully never listen to All Atlanta again. But good record. I like it.
Ooh.
I like it.
He's got so many, and you said something early on about how he has had a lot more than just one song, and unfortunately I think most people here in this country, that's Charlie Daniels Band, Devil Went Down to Georgia, that's it. And there's a lot more than that. All right, my number 5, I'm going to go with 1980's Full Moon, which I think here was the last album that actually had some somewhat major success. This was a fairly good seller, whether it was just a carryover from Million Mile Reflections, but they had they played In America on FM rock radio quite a bit, and that's a pretty damn good song. I still like that a lot. I think it's one of his crunchier rockers, and Legend of Woolly Swamp was played a little bit too, and that's a great kind of southern swamp rocker. I mean, that's no other way to put it, but a lot of other good rock tunes on here. I really dig Boy from Dixie, and man, these guys could play guitar. Charlie was most people only think of him as the big, kind of roly-poly singer with the big beard and the hat and the fiddle, but man, could that guy play a Gibson Les Paul. And Tom Crane, who was his kind of cohort there on guitar for much of the early career. I don't know how long they worked together, but that guy also really talented. What else we got on here? Got blues on here, No Potion for the Pain. El Toriador is just a kick-ass song, no matter how you look at it, with lots of good guitar trade-offs between the two of these guys. They were doing a lot of that, like kind of dual twin guitar thing, which you would see the Outlaws doing, and Skinner doing, and Molly Hatchet doing, and of course Thin Lizzy, obviously from the more regular classic rock related world. You got South Sea Song, which is kind of jazz. You got funk and bluegrass on Gypsy Dance. Money is good hard rocker, and it sounds a lot like Crossroads by Cream, but like done Southern style. And then I mentioned In America. So I remember buying this when it came out. I loved it then. I still like it now. Probably one of their most kind of, I don't want to call it hard rock, but the most rocking consistently from start to finish out of all of the, especially the earlier albums. But yeah, Full Moon, my number 5.
Wise choice. It's not in my 5, but a wise choice. Yeah. My number 4, and it's somewhere upstairs. Don't know where, but I've managed to find the others. It's 1977's High Lonesome. Where you got it? Yep. That's my boy. Excellent. I think by this point they're veering further away from southern rock towards the country. I would suggest. Billy the Kid, the opening song, is pretty bluegrassy. It's very much. The more I've listened to it recently, very much in tone and musicality, like The Devil Went Down to Georgia. It's that kind of similar bassy, bouncy kind of feel that it's got. The true hero of this album is Taz Di Gregorio, the keyboard player. He's all over this record.
Yeah, he is.
Like a rash. Carolina's like a country version of the Allmans, and he's just tinkling away over. Yeah, I cannot play piano. Okay. There's it's full of story songs. This, that evoke the West and the South, and it's not quite as hard rocking as some of the stuff that was before it. But I just noted what Charlie Daniels plays on this: acoustic guitar, banjo, fiddle, guitar, violin, lead vocals, harmony vocals. You don't get to play with Bob Dylan if you're some kind of talentless moron. And he really, really was an excellent, excellent musician, and wrote some really great songs that weren't, what. And many of them are on High Lonesome.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you said. That is also my number 4. It's very well-rounded album, I think. There's a lot of really good textures on here, and I agree with you. I think this is probably not as Southern rocky start to finish as some of the ones that came before it, but there's plenty of love on here. I like Billy the Kid a lot. I think I agree with you. I think it's got that kind of bluegrass flavor, but there's a lot of good guitar work on there too. And it cooks. Carolina, I remember you, was great. Title track is really good. Running with the Crowd is a really, really good kick-ass Southern rock song with some great organ. You mentioned Mr. Di Gregorio. His organ and piano is all over this album. Really dig that a lot. What else we got here? Love Charlie Hayward's bass work. Another really underrated guy in this band. I mentioned the title track is really good. Tennessee, Right Not Tennessee Blues actually is the one, because there's 2 Tennessee tracks on here. Right Now Tennessee Blues and then Tennessee. But Right Now Tennessee Blues, which I believe was written by Tom Crane, the other guitar player. Really, really good song. And it's a really good sounding record. I like it. And you're absolutely right. For like a Southern band, they sang a lot about cowboys and the Great Wild West, like especially like this album and Saddle Tramp and a couple others. I think Charlie had this fascination with all that. Like the cowboy was like this mystical figure. So whereas, a lot of the other Southern bands at the time were singing about, hanging out and drinking beers at the swamp and whatever, and having the barbecue, Charlie was singing about all sorts of other things. And a lot of them had to do with like cowboys and the wild frontier and all that sort of thing. So good, bad, or ugly. It was different.
Again, I see what you did there. Excellent. My turn?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. My number 3, for sentimental reasons, is 1985's Me and the Boys, which I've got on cassette.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, which has one of, I think, the worst covers in the history of mankind. Reminds me somewhat of Molly Hatchet's No Guts, No Glory, where they're just dressed weirdly like cowboys for no apparent reason.
I mean, hold that up again. You got the hats, you got the long jackets, right? I mean, it's just yeah.
On the back, he's
oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah,
all he needs is the pipe, or the big straw, coming out of his mouth, something like that.
Yeah, it's I assume the covers like that because it's Me and the Boys. It's just and the title track is one of 3 covers on the record, and I think, like you said previously, I think by early 80s the hits have dried up, and I think they were looking for hits. Might be wrong, but I think that they were.
Yeah, you were right. I mean, I'm sure Epic Records, that's what they wanted, right? They wanted the next Devil Went Down to Georgia, because they didn't get that big hit on Full Moon. I mean, that album did well, but not anywhere near Million Mile Reflections.
Yeah, this is a very lushly produced and absolutely definitely a country record. But also it's around about that time he's beginning to arguably veer towards the right, but writing about things in a kind of Springsteen-y kind of way, like on the Class of '63, where he goes back and one of his classmates died in Nam, and all those and stuff like that. There's a cover of Don Henley's Talking to Me, which is really nice. Really nice. That's a terrible word to describe me. It's nice. That's just no good. You know, it's classy yet fire. American Farmer. What a tune. I mean, I could not write. I mean, I couldn't write a song anyhow. But writing a song about, you know, wheat and meat and cotton and loaf of bread never started no war. I can appreciate the living daylights out of that. I really can. You know, it's proper conviction. American rock and roll's good time music, and it ends with Drinking My Baby Goodbye, which, going to the live albums I've got to my left, appear to end quite a lot of his concerts. So what a rollicking tune it is. It really is. And this is, I think, I might be wrong, one of the very last occasions that he actually did, that Tom Crane was in the band. I think he left and came back, and I think the man's godlike genius, a bit like his brother, Billy Crane. I really like his solo work as well. Yeah. And also, arguably most importantly, this cassette never left my first car.
Never.
Well, yeah.
Until you got rid of the car, right?
There's a fine line between got rid and crashed.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Well, in a weird way, you got rid of it.
Obviously,
it got rid of you. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it did leave you because it's now here. But yeah, that's my number 3.
There you go. Cool. All right. Well, you got me before, so my segue for my number 3 is Saddle Tramp. So there you have it. I mean, look at that cover, right? Look at that hat. Look, you got the clouds and the hills in the background. That big mustache. And then, you know, of course, on the back, you've got, there's that saddle, but a really good album. Again, this is more of that kind of Wild Wild West themed album, but it's really good. You got that killer honky tonk boogie Dixie on My Mind. The title track is like 11 minutes long. It starts off really smooth and kind of cowboyish, and then it just like breaks into this lengthy guitar jam, and all of a sudden you're thinking, wow, it's like hints of the Allman Brothers, you know, which is really good. I mean, these guys could jam. I mean, I think like their early albums, especially, you know, live, or I've seen plenty of live footage early in their career. They were kind of like a jam band early on, but, you know, a more kind of country rock version of that. You got Sweet Louisiana, slide guitars all over the place. Wichita Jail is really cool. That's more of like kind of like a real gritty country rocker. You got Cumberland Mountain, number 9. Which lots of guitars, lots of different textures. It's My Life is bluesy. I mean, just, yeah, I like this. And it's a really good sounding album. Like I said, not one of his more rocking albums, but it's almost like it doesn't need to be. It's like a real good feel good album if you like this sort of thing. So that's my number 3.
If you like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I do.
There you go. And look, you got an even bigger format. Look at that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. I like the inside as well.
Oh yeah, look at that. I don't think let me see if I have that well, I think I do. They do give me that, but here, you're gonna love this. So basically you get that on the one side, right? And look at all this wonderful information adorning the inside of this booklet. Is that like the biggest waste of fucking space ever? I mean, come on. I really hate when they do that. It's like if you're gonna give a kind of like triple fold out CD booklet, put something here, please, anything. But yeah, that's a rant for another day. But anyway, yeah, great out. Back to you. Sorry.
That touched a nerve, didn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it's a fantastic record. It's got Don Murray and Fred Edwards on drums, and you know, quite a lot of bands had 2 drummers back in the 70s, and sometimes you think, well, they're not really using them, but on the title track, like I say, it is a bit homey and a bit long. Great chorus. You know, they just lob in a couple of relatively short drum solos, and I don't, you know, whilst drum solos are the dullest thing in the world by themselves, in context of the song really works. You know, it's 11 minutes of epic southern rock. It's a relatively short album. They're all pretty short albums, and I think we appreciate that, don't we? I think we, you know,
yeah, I don't. Most of these aren't over 35 minutes. I don't think, right?
No.
Yeah.
You know, there are 3 songs on side 1 and 4 on side 2, and you know, good times. Yes, indeed. again, I wondered to myself, would the older Charlie Daniels approve of some of the behaviours that are going on within the characters within these songs? You know, they're a bit rough and tumble. You know, he's in the Wichita jail. You know, he's you know, when we get onto other albums, well, one more album later, you know, we might discuss other daytime activities. But Dixie on My Mind is ragtime, and I do like songs that reference the South. You know, I have no idea why. I'm from Lancashire in England. I've not a clue why. Never been to America. Don't really want to. But you know, it's got kind of. But there's that sense of like identity of being from somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that appeals to me.
Well,
Also,
it's got to be for you. It's got to be kind of like this mythical place, right? Because you've heard so much about it, and you like this kind of style of music anyway. So
yeah,
it's like they're always singing about it. It's like, well, what could it really be like? And I've been down south. You know, depends on where you go, I guess. I don't know how mythical it actually is, and in reality, no offense to folks who are watching who are from the South, but I'm an East Coaster, so you can imagine why I have that opinion. But yeah, an interesting place.
Please address your comments down below to Mr. Pete Pardo. Not me. Not me.
No, I'm the one who opened the mouth. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you are the one. He's actually a pretty distinctive vocalist as well. And I just love the way he says, "Sweet Louisiana's waiting on the other side." I just really like it. And Tom Crane is again all over this record. It's a tremendous record. It really is. And really striking cover, you know, a bit Marshall Tucker here, but
more than a bit, I'd say. Yeah.
Okay, fair dues.
You know, you bring up Marshall Tucker. What's interesting is Charlie, on more than one occasion, mentions his friends in the Southern rock community quite often.
Yes, he does.
Where he will mention Marshall Tucker and Leonard Skinner and the Caldwell brothers, and you know, so on and so forth. And he, I think, was the kind of glue that held all those bands together, because it's like Charlie always had something to do or say with the rest of them. And I thought that was really cool. I love the whole camaraderie between the Southern rock community, which I don't think you get with a lot of the other, you know, rock genres. You know, you certainly don't get that enough in metal. They're all fighting with each other, and, you know, the big classic rock bands. But man, all the Southern rockers, they all loved each other, got along. They're all friends. And sadly, half of them are like all gone. So I don't know, maybe, you know, maybe being so closely it wasn't good. I don't know. Something in the water with the Southern rock bands. It's dropping like flies. But yeah, I totally agree with that. That has got this Marshall Tucker thing like written all over it. Very cool. All right. Number 2. I almost had to stop myself from putting this at number 1 because I really like this album a lot. But I think my number 1, I think it's just a better overall album. But this is really, really good. Fire on the Mountain from 1974. Love the cover, love the artwork. I mean, this is just screams Southern rock, screams the South. It's very bright and colorful. 1974. Caballo Diablo. Man, what a way to kick off this album. What a terrific song. Got these weaving guitars and just like, love his vocals on it. It's just terrific, terrific stuff. Long Hair Country Boy is a great kind of rednecky country rock song. No other way to describe it, really is. Trudy is great, Southern boogie. Feeling Free is good and frantic and funky. It's got kind of like this Doobie Brothers thing going on, except they throw some fiddle in the middle, which kind of weaves around the electric guitar. I mean, musically, these guys were so good. The South's Gonna Do It Again. Just such a cliche-ridden Southern rock anthem, but who cares? It's good. New York City, King Size Rosewood Bed. One of the longest titles of a track ever. But it's got a really good vocal from Charlie, lots of slide guitar. And then, of course, you got No Place to Go, which is another big epic, like Allman Brothers style jam with lots of bluesy, jazzy guitar solos. Really good. And then, you know, if that's not enough, you got Orange Blossom Special, which is a blazing country bluegrass jig with fiddles and drum solos and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Another album I think for me that's good. It's got kind of like High Lonesome, a lot of variety on here. You got a little more songs than what you would get on like Saddle Tramp, but good variety all over. Very enjoyable. This is just a really, really fun album. And that's my number 2. It was almost my number 1, but my number 1 I think is pretty special.
Yeah, well, it actually is my number 1.
Great minds think alike. Look at that.
That's sexy. Yeah.
Oh, I love. Whoa, wait a second. I don't think I get any of that. Oh, wait, I get some of it condensed. I like yours better. You got to hold that up again. I got to get a load of that. That's great. Nothing gets me more, Simon, than looking at old LPs, gatefold LPs with those glorious live shots. Look at that shot of Charlie. Man, that's awesome.
I'm excited that the world has reopened again, so I can start, looking for old vinyl again.
There you go.
I'm really excited. I don't actually have to say anything about this album because you practically said it all. It's a proper rock album in many ways. There's just so much good about it. So much guitar, so much picking. Dickie Betts is on dobro somewhere. It's just really good record. Like you said, it's jammy. Yes, it jams in place. And back in the 70s, people used to tag live songs onto their albums.
Yeah,
those ZZ Top didn't they?
Yep.
Just shit wouldn't go down like that these days. It just wouldn't. Thinking outside the metaphorical box, but there are some great. She's like you say, Caballo Diablo. What a horse! That's all I can say on that one. But again, what would late period Charlie think about somebody who got stoned in the afternoon and stoned in the morning, drunk in the afternoon? I don't think he'd approve, would you? He wouldn't approve of himself. I'm just saying. Just a really, really top notch. Southern rock record from 74?
Yep, 74.
74, yeah. Obviously not as good as your number 1, but nonetheless a top quality record.
Would you say that is their kind of prototypical full-fledged Southern rock album? Or if it's not, it's pretty close to
it. Yeah, it is. Before, it's just before that point where they start veering towards country.
Yeah,
because Saddle Tramp is a bit country-ish as well, isn't it? But it's well before they go full on country. But yeah, it's in places it's Skinnerdy, in places it's Almany. Yeah. It's a proper Southern rock album.
And I think before Million Mile, I think this was their biggest selling album, if I remember correctly. I think this did pretty well for them, because I think The South's Gonna Do It Again was kind of like a minor hit, and I know Long Hair Country Boy also as well. So yeah. And I must say, I know you guys pronounce the letter differently than us, but I don't think I've ever heard anybody say ZZ Top before. You just made my day.
I was, slightly taking the piss out of myself, but yeah. I'll tell you what, say to young people ZZ Top, and they've not a clue. It's really weird. Young people have no clue about rock music.
They don't. You would think, ZZ Top here is like, even if you don't know the music, you know the brand, right? You know the 3 old guys with the 2 of them with the big long beards and the hats. I think most people know who they are, even if you can't even name a freaking song. But it really is a shame where you have these legendary acts that people like us are like, it's like a no-brainer. It's takes up so much of our existence, and then you get much younger people who just like, I don't know who that is. I'm like, I don't know. Well, I think, you have a guess what my number 1 is?
No.
Okay. No. It's kind of obvious. I'm kind of like picking the obvious one here, but it's my favorite one. And I think it's just has some just absolutely great songs. It's Million Mile Reflections from 19.
Oh, I would have got it right.
Yeah. That's what you were thinking, right? Yeah. For me, this just kind of does a little bit of everything that I really like about this band. And this is like their really polished album. It sounds amazing, but the album rocks. Passing Lane, what a great opener. I mean, just you got the keyboard, the organ, the guitars, and the bass with this big riff, and it's kind of funky, it's kind of southerny. Blue Star is, I absolutely love Blue Star. It's got this haunting chorus, lead guitars and organ all over the place. Jitterbug is kind of bluesy, but it's very southerny. Behind Your Eyes is almost like jazz. I mean, these guys, doing all sorts of weird stuff on this album. Southern, you got Blind Man, right? Just a great song, and that's pure Southern rock, I think, for me. Of course, we don't need to talk about Devil Went Down to Georgia. It was a phenomenon. I don't particularly think it's a great song, but it is catchy, so whatever. Rainbow Ride for me is probably one of the most incredible songs on here. It's the closer. It's like almost 8 minutes long. It's literally like a jazz fusion song. I mean, it's almost like Charlie Daniels Band doing like Weather Report or like Mahavishnu Orchestra or something like that. Just absolutely incredible and showing all their chops. To me, this is just a really, really great sounding album with great songs. And you could take Devil Went Down to Georgia off of this. I wouldn't care. I still think it's a great album. And I know it was a massive hit because of that song. But, like you hinted at earlier in the show, I mean, this band is about so much more than that song. It's just really a shame that most people only know that and only care about that when there's so many great songs among all of these albums we've talked about. And there's ones we haven't even talked about that are also really, worthwhile too. Really good band.
Indeed.
Yeah. Like Whiskey is Whiskey is great. Was it Knight Rider is really good. Take John.
Right, yeah.
And, I mean, a lot of those albums are just really, really strong, really good. Kind of country, kind of southern, kind of rocking, kind of bluesy, kind of jazzy. And I've always been just absolutely mesmerized by the musicianship in this band. Regardless of what you think of them and what style they're playing in. There's some pretty serious musicians in this band.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I could just nominate, for instance, Blues Hat, which it's a blues album. It's really good.
I love they got the Les Pauls out on the cover, man. That's like gotta love that. They love playing their Les Pauls.
Yeah, it's all just
got some
shiny.
Strats there too.
Really good late period record, and just Live from Iraq.
I remember when that came out too.
Just Live from Iraq. I never watched the DVD portion of this. Maybe I will do soon, but just Live from Iraq. Yeah,
it's funny. If you want to like scare away a lot of potential buyers, just put that right on the cover, please.
Yeah, but it's shit kicking rock and roll. It really is, even for a man who must have been well ancient by that point. It's just some really good stuff there. Yeah, including one that's not really good, Iraq Blues. But yeah, just really shit kicking on. It's got a nice sexy version of Saddle Tramp on as well.
Oh, I can imagine.
Sure, the troops were all big fans of Saddle Tramp because they would all been fetuses, wouldn't they, when they were out there?
Yeah, it's interesting, and not to kind of get political here, but it's like Charlie was always taking the band and playing for the troops. I mean, that's all throughout their entire career. But I think what was the actual year where that came out again? Because I remember when that came out, and that got a lot of negative press because it had
2007.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a weird time, right? And there's a lot of negative connotations about what's going on in Iraq at the time. So that people probably saw that and like, I'm not buying that because of the connection, even though they did it for all the right reasons. And I'm sure it's a spectacular live album because this was a spectacular live band. So yeah, I mean, it's just those decisions, which, had they decided to do that a little differently or name it a little different, might have, changed things a little bit. I don't know. Nothing against the country of Iraq at all, but just based on when that came out, maybe not the best decision. So.
At that point in his career, do what he wants.
Yeah, he didn't care, I guess, at that point. So yeah,
exactly. And I disagree with his political views vehemently, but hats off to him.
Yeah, exactly. So there you have it, everybody. Our ranking our top 5 of the Charlie Daniels Band in the comments below. And of course, Tala she's got to go out. So we're ending this episode just in time. So in the comments below, please list your top 5 or your top 10, whatever, of the Charlie Daniels Band. Again, it's a big catalog. lots to choose from, and it'll be cool to see that. So I want to thank Simon for joining us on this particular one. This was fun. I really like revisiting this catalog every so often. I do it quite a lot. Usually in the summertime, I listen to a lot of Southern rock, and so I visit Charlie pretty regularly. So, but don't touch that dial, because we're coming right back with another great Southern band, a little less well known, I think, but a band that I dig quite a bit, Doc Holliday, a band that burst on the scene in the early '80s, and unfortunately had the opportunity, good or bad, to open up for bands like Black Sabbath and whatnot, which probably wasn't a good pair up, but that's kind of what happened a lot back in the day. So Simon, I'll be right back with Doc Holliday, ranking the albums. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. See you momentarily with Doc Holliday. Take care. For Simon Bray, I am Pete Pardo.